Well, hello. Welcome to the newest edition of the Arts Overlook. I'm your host, Ian Goldsmith. In every episode, we highlight and preview the extensive arts and entertainment of the Cedar Valley. In this episode, we preview two upcoming theater productions. The first preview is for the opening show of the Theater U&I season, and the second is a unique comedy from Oster-Regent Theater. We also take you to a local hip and happening crafts fair, and close with a recap of a touching dedication ceremony for the newest piece of public art. We've got a lot to cover, so don't go away because Arts Overlook starts now.
Art is thriving in the Cedar Valley. It's everywhere. But if you don't know where to look, you could miss it. This is your local arts perspective. This is the Arts Overlook.
It's almost time for the opener of the Theater U&I 2013-2014 season. As an alum of the theater program, I jumped at the chance to preview the new shows. The theme of the current Theater U&I season is the 7 deadly sins: lust, greed, pride, envy. The first show takes a look at consumer gluttony, among a variety of other topics, in the new production, The American Way of Eating.
Food. If I had to make a list of my favorite things, food would probably be near the top of said list. Most of us here in America get to eat food every day, and some pretty delicious food at that. But how many of us actually consider where our food comes from? If you're anything like me, you probably don't think twice. That is the question at hand in U&I's stage adaptation of the popular Tracy McMillan book, The American Way of Eating.
Well, the plot of the show, I think, comes from this amazing book that Tracy McMillan wrote, which was just an examination of food in America, where it comes from, how it gets to us, and what we do when we have it. And so, in order to sort of explore that idea, she went undercover, picking garlic in the fields of California. She worked at the largest single grocery retailer in the world, really, and then worked at the largest food chain, a casual food chain in the world.
And so she first goes to California to work in the fields, picking garlic and peaches, and she gets to know the field workers, and she learns a lot about how they're taken advantage of. And then she goes to Walmart in Detroit, and she wants to work in produce to see how they deal with selling produce to the hundreds and thousands of people that they sell to. And then finally she goes to Brooklyn, New York to work in Applebee's. She wants to work in the kitchen to see what that's like, and it's really just eye-opening for her.
And that gave an insight, I think. There was a way to get an insight for her readers to see, kind of open up the trap door and see the little machinery working that brings all this stuff to us that we don't ever think about. And I think, yeah, that's the basic idea. It's just like, how does the system work, and what place do we have in that system? Because it's a question I think most people don't consider all that often.
This original adaptation is directed as well as written by Weidman. The show is part of an ongoing partnership with the university's provost office. Every year, the Department of Theater produces a stage adaptation of the book that has been chosen as the U&I Common Read. The production is then shown to all freshmen as part of their cornerstone class, and is open to all students and members of the community. Doing a stage adaptation of a book tends to present unique challenges compared to the traditional production process. In order to tell the powerful stories, as well as convey the important information, the cast and crew of The American Way of Eating have taken a collaborative approach to their rehearsals.
One thing that was really important to me with this process was not to view this as sort of a top-down, authoritarian process. I didn't want to come in and say to the actors, well, here's what I've decided. So the actors were very engaged. They all read the book. They were all deeply involved in discussion. That was the first thing we did, is we just sat down and really talked about the book and just dived into it and explored all the things that seemed important about the book. What are the essential stories we wanted to tell? And the actors really took a lot of ownership over that.
And how it has been going for the past couple of weeks is we get a new part of script. Our amazing director, Matthew Weidman, brings it in. It's stuff that he's been working on, and we sit down and we read it. And then we get on our feet and we start to play around with it. And then, so we have this great base, and then we make it kind of our own. And we grow from that, and we give it a little bit more shape because of what we bring to the characters and what parts of the story we feel are extremely important.
I feel kind of bad sometimes because we do just joke around a lot, but that's because we've been creating a lot of this work as we go. We have a script that was written by our director, but along the way we create certain scenes or sequences, and so it's been a very relaxed and loose setting. So we're all very, very close and very having a lot of fun along the way.
It's a fantastic opportunity for me as a director, and hopefully for the actors too. I hope that they've enjoyed the experience and gotten something from it.
As part of this unique approach to adapt the book, most of the cast members play several characters instead of just one.
I play a woman in the fields who was unfortunately taken advantage of. I play a 7-year veteran of Walmart and training video lady. I play that. And then I play a waitress in the Applebee's section. So very diverse group of characters that I have there, but I have so much fun with each of them and finding the special things about them. We've been given a lot of supplemental materials, videos to watch to kind of give us more of an inside view on what these people actually go through and what they're like.
I tried to find as many videos of her as I could just to see what she was like, but that really hasn't been so much what I've been thinking about during the rehearsal process. More I've been just trying to think about what it would be like to put myself into these new situations, to go in 3 completely different situations in so short a time, and how difficult it would be to adapt.
Director Weidman says that the cast has approached this semi-dark material with a sense of humor and theatricality, so that the audience will have a great night at the theater. What is the overall message that the show is trying to send home?
To me, the main idea of the play that I hope that people take is this basic fact that we're really implicated as consumers, as Americans, in the system of how food is produced, because it's a really sick system in a lot of ways,
There are a lot of facts that are kept hidden under the surface, and we kind of hope to shed some light on those facts, and because it all starts with education and awareness.
I'm hopeful that that will be a point of thought for people who come to see the show, that maybe they can consider the different ways in which we're involved in the system, and maybe that can lead to some self-awareness and some maybe change in behavior or decision-making.
The American Way of Eating will be performing October 10th through the 20th. If you would like tickets to see the show, please visit www.uni.edu/theater or call the Strayer box office at 319-273-6381. For the Arts Overlook, I'm Ian Goldsmith.
If the show is half as fun as the cast members were having in rehearsal, then I think we can expect a great night of entertainment. Again, you can get tickets by visiting uni.edu/theater. As many of you know, UNI isn't the only place in town to catch a great show. The Oster-Regent Theater is opening a new comedy in which acclaimed playwright Neil Simon adapts a series of short, humorous stories by Anton Chekhov. Mike Mennen has the story.
The Cedar Falls Community Theater presents the Neil Simon comedy, The Good Doctor. 2 titans of theater history are on display as Neil Simon takes us on a ride through the stories floating around in the mind of a writer. Simon explores the human pathos and utter humanity of ordinary characters caught in ordinary and extraordinary circumstances.
Well, I can't help you with the plot, really, because it's a collection of 10 short stories by Chekhov, an early 20th century Russian author before the revolution, collected and modified by Neil Simon, who adds a narrator to pull all of the vignettes together. In a sense, it's like Saturday Night Live, except dark Russian humor.
Well, one of the things I think is really interesting is that the last couple of years, the Oster has chosen pieces of Neil Simon that aren't as familiar. And so people are always surprised by them. They have an expectation of what Simon is. And yes, he's always funny, but there are always twists in some of the less common pieces. And this one is like that. It's a series of 10 one-acts, or you could call them vignettes, that are based off of Chekhov's short stories. And Chekhov, of course, is a little bit dark, but then they take that idea and they add that comic twist of, yeah, sometimes life is just terrible, but yet it's kind of funny because it is so terrible.
The cast includes actors that have a mix of community and professional experiences.
I think that when you act with the other actors and how the piece is written, you have to choose how that character works. And so that's been fun. And some of us are in 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 pieces, and we get to play all different kinds of characters.
So short pieces, you'll see the same actors appear several times, but as different characters. I, for example, play a simple country sexton with a toothache, the director of a play, probably Chekhov himself, and a little old man in love.
Different because it is these 10 one-acts or these vignettes, and yes, they're tied together by a narrator and a couple repeating jokes that are kind of said throughout. We work more in sets of what those scenes are, and Greg's been really good about scheduling us so that we have like maybe all our scenes on one night, or so maybe 3 or 4 times a week we meet, and then weekends we're always all here together. So that's been really different, but it's been good because of that ensemble work and the way you kind of get more individual attention to build those scenes.
That's the effort that we are working on now as we've gotten further into the rehearsal process, is to try and make each scene fresh and immediate, and as though you were coming in to the middle of something that's going on.
With the Tony Award and 4 other nominations to its credit, The Good Doctor has something for everyone's taste awaiting in the unfolding of 10 of Chekhov's stories adapted with Neil Simon's gift for compelling laughter.
I was thinking of this the other night. My dad has always been one of those people, although he enjoys the arts, he'll say it's a good show, I didn't fall asleep. And so if you're one of those people that finds yourself sitting in one of those longer shows and you're starting to doze off and you're like, oh, yada, 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 you're going to like this kind of piece because it is 10 different scenes. They're very different. They all have humor in them, but in very different ways. And they move from the humor to the serious, then back to that comic touch again. So I think that even if you're one of those who doesn't say theater is my life, or I like theater that much, or I get bored in theater, you're going to find this is the kind of show that you're really going to enjoy.
Performances for this limited run are October 4th, 5th, 6th, 10th, 12th, 13th, Sundays at 2 p.m., all others at 7:30 p.m. Corporate sponsors include the Western Home Communities and Wheaton Franciscan Healthcare.
Again, if you would like to get tickets for The Good Doctor, visit Oster-Regent.org. Shifting away from theater now, I attended a local event by Pear on the Hill that showcases handmade crafts by local artists from all around Iowa and the Midwest. Shelby Gappa has the story.
Pear on College Hill started this event after seeing the need to showcase more local handmade items.
We have a selection of handmade items in the store, but we wanted to expand it. So we thought having a craft show would be the perfect way to do it, to have like customers interact with like the actual makers of the handmade wares.
This fair featured in total 15 local and regional handmade vendors. These vendors sold a variety of handmade items such as jewelry, printmaking, and knitted items.
So I'm an illustrator and printmaker, and I screen print in my studio in my home, textiles and prints. The textiles include kitchen towels, tea towels, t-shirts, tote bags, all different types of textiles, and then prints. And they range from 1 color prints to 10 color, which are quite involved. But I love the process of printmaking, and I love that someone can take away a piece of my art and wear it around.
Those who attended the event bought not only handmade artistic items, but also helped out the area's economy by buying local, as all of the vendors were from Iowa. This fair keeps getting bigger and more anticipated every year as more and more residents learn about it and attend the event.
I love it all. And actually this is the first year we had a local coffee person and a local pastry person here. Sycar Coffee and Say La Vie. So that's cool. But I guess my favorite part is everything. I love interacting with people. I love, just having the community get up and just hang out.
I love the overall vibe. Everybody is energetic, happy. It's a wonderful collection of different artists.
Many of the crafts that were showcased at the Pear Fair can be bought at Pear year-round. For the final story of this episode, I attended the dedication ceremony for the newest piece of Cedar Falls public art. I captured this beautiful ceremony and also heard from the family that made it all possible.
The newest piece of public art in Cedar Falls, named Showtime, was recently installed on Main Street outside the Oster-Regent Theater. This bronze statue is in honor of Merle Blair, who ran the Regent Theater for many years. Upwards of 100 people gathered during the lovely afternoon ceremony to dedicate the statue. The ceremony consisted of keynote speakers, old friends sharing their experiences with the theater, and tours of the downtown public art. Two of the speakers at the event were grandchildren of Merle Blair. Barbara Giese and Doug Blair were both instrumental in bringing the statue to Cedar Falls. I was fortunate enough to interview the brother-sister duo about the process of seeing this grand statue come to fruition.
Merle and Winifred Blair were my grandparents, and so we were born and raised here in Cedar Falls. My brother and I are the grandchildren, and we worked here at the theater since we were very small children. My father actually managed the theater for his father, and so he was instrumental in the managing of it. My grandfather kind of passed that on to my father.
The statue and the whole concept was the creation of my mother, Shirley Blair. She would take us downtown Loveland where they have an enormous amount of bronze works, and she would show us different arts, different statues that she considered very inspiring, and one of them was in front of a theater. And she really liked that, and I remember she said, wouldn't that be nice to put in front of the Regent? But of course, with your grandfather.
After Barbara and Doug's mother passed away, they were determined to see her wishes come true. Barbara and her husband commissioned an artist from Loveland, Colorado by the name of Thelma Warsh.
She's quite a renowned artist. She has many works around the Loveland area. She's 94 years old now, and she is a pistol.
Yep, you heard him correctly. 94 years old. Merle Blair bought the theater at age 19 and owned and managed it for most of his life. In addition to the theater, Merle had many contributions to the city of Cedar Falls, such as helping to found the Cedar Falls Park Board. Doug and Barbara's father took over managing duties from their grandfather, so in many ways they feel that they grew up at the theater. Many of the people that attended the dedication ceremony shared countless memories of both Merle and of the Regent Theater.
And some of the memories are bottle caps in place of bike tickets for Saturday matinees. In the summertime, bicycle giveaways, maybe a Friday night date or two, but of course you sat in the balcony, you know, or you sat by the edge and you dropped popcorn on people down below. We've always got a little bit of trouble for that. Leading a delegation of my teenage friends as we lobbied for a student prize, I remember the respect that he showed to us and the lesson he gave us in fiscal responsibility.
For that green door, that goes upstairs. Grandfather, I'm going to ask for a little forgiveness. I used to sneak some of the friends upstairs.
Affable and friendly, a Main Street and community mainstay, Merle Blair clearly enjoyed his chosen path in life.
If the number of people that attended this ceremony is any indication, then many people were positively affected by Merle's chosen path as well. But this statue represents much more than just a dedication to Merle or the rich history of the Regent Theater.
The vision that I felt like my mother had with this was to carry on this kind of legacy of the entertainment and the community. Community is really important, and she was always involved wherever she moved, Cedar Falls, Florida, and then to Loveland, her last home. But what we'd like to see is that this entertainment continue, that it'll be shared. Those of us that still remember those stories of the theater, that we share those with our families, that those children will come down here, they'll enjoy all that the Cedar Falls Theater Community Group has to offer, take advantage of that, but also see the past history and era of when it started. I think that's important. That's the life of your community is your downtown, and without that, you don't have a heart. Your heart and soul is in your downtown, and we hope that people find much enjoyment from this piece of art.
Showtime will welcome people into the beautiful heart and soul of Cedar Falls for years to come. For Cedar Falls TV, I'm Ian Goldsmith.
We here at Cedar Falls TV and the Arts Overlook will be previewing all of the public art around the city of Cedar Falls. Until then, and until our next episode, I'm Ian Goldsmith, and thank you for watching.